Hey folks, welcome to this edition of Heisel Hints. Today we're going to be looking at how to build Wellsworth Station. Now before we begin, I'm going to get into a little bit of why I decided to do this and why I did it the way I did. Now with all that said, let's get started. So a couple of weeks ago I was searching the wiki for Wellsworth merchandise. For whatever reason, this station was never represented correctly in merchandise form. Each one just has their own weird quirks. Clock towers, blue and white colors, reused Tomy Station, and whatever Trackmaster 2 was doing. I don't get this at all. But most of all, they just never got the roof right. You see, Wellsworth has the most unique roof out of any station in Thomas. Instead of the standard Victorian slant, it has a flat top with slanted sides. Now the reason I bring this up is because no other building that I've seen has the same design. And it would really seem that no one else has either, because there's pretty much no model kits of that style. I searched far and wide across the internet at my local hobby shops for any sort of kit or pre-built building, anything like that. Nada. So it became pretty clear to me that if I wanted a Wellsworth, I was going to have to build one from scratch. And here is how I did it. So to begin, what you're going to want to get yourself is a bunch of Legos. I'm serious. You see, Legos are not only sturdy, but they're square. And obviously, since we're building something that is square, it's pretty essential to have something that will retain that shape. So yes, we're building with Legos. So after you built yourself the structure, which I measured approximately, it's 11 inches in length and also 7 bricks tall. So it's time to apply brick texture. Now, I went to my local model train store and bought some resin brick sheets, as you can see here. Now, these resin brick sheets are very, very nice. And it's very simple to actually apply them. You just take some glue, this glue in this case, and just kind of rub it all over the side, and you cut the thing to length, apply, and it's perfect. So then after that, I decided to take some frog masking tape and kind of seal the seams to make sure that it's all kind of closed in. You know, give it a sturdy kind of look. And with the brick texture done, we move on to the roof. So the roof. Now this was the big sticking point of the project. How would I go about making the roof? I kind of mulled it over back and forth with my dad and my mom and other people to try and get some, basic ideas of what I could do. And what I ended up doing was I took some of the Lego studs, the angled ones that look like this, and I placed them on the top. And then I took some cardboard. Now the cardboard that I use specifically is the kind of cardboard that you find in a cereal box. Very thin, but sturdy at the same time. Cut it out to length in rectangle shapes, as you'll see here. And then you add some frog tape and make trapezoids out of them. And that's what I did for the long pieces. For the short pieces, I cut them out into trapezoids initially because I was supposed to do that with the long sides, and I kind of forgot that trapezoid shapes are how the roof is shaped. I'm an idiot. Anyways, we moved on to actually putting the roof together. So, I applied some poster sticky tack to the 4 corners of the building. I applied each side, like so, and lined them up perfectly the way I wanted them to. Then I took some more of that frog tape, taped them all together, then added the middle piece, and boom, the basic structure of the roof is done. Then it came to adding the detail. In this case, shingles. I used this brand of shingles. Now, these shingles are very simple strips that you apply to the building, put them in a row, one on top of the other, gluing them down, just kind of working your way up. Now obviously these strips were not completely to length of the roof, so you kind of had to cut and paste a little bit of what length you wanted for each one. It's a very tedious process, I'll be honest here. But after you've just worked your way through that entirely big slog, then we move on to paint. This is where it actually kind of gets a little more fun. Now, there are 2 colors that I mainly use for this. One is red oxide from the Dollar Tree. Very simple paint. Obviously, it's for $1 or $1.25, I think now we're up to for prices at the Dollar Tree. I know, weird. And then the other thing I used was this Apple Barrel branded paint from Walmart called Khaki. Now basically what you do is you kind of mix and match and alternate between these 2 different paints for the brick, first on the brick texture. On the brick texture, you kind of start with khaki, then you kind of take a little red here and there and kind of smear it a little bit. And then on the roof, I simply went with complete red oxide. You kind of go a few, maybe 3 or 4, even 5 coats of this paint, kind of all over, up and down, just kind of rubbing it and smoothing it out here and there. Usually I took a brush, but sometimes you just got to use your fingers, and yeah, you get paint on them, and just kind of the way things are. But anyways, that was the hard part. Now here comes the more easy sections. Now because it's the building, obviously you need a little bit of doors and windows, otherwise no one's going to be able to, in theory, enter and exit these. So anyways, at the same model train shop, which I got the brick sheets and shingles from, I decided to buy just a big box full of windows and doors. Now these doors and windows ended up being very, very nice additions to this. And I ended up painting them green. This Apple Barrel branded paint is a gloss green. It's also very inexpensive. This proved to be a beautiful color that just matched perfectly with this. Perhaps I could have gone with more of a matte finish for this paint, but honestly I like the way the gloss looks for this. The matte for the rest of it kind of really looks nice. So after I found a splat for all the doors and windows, and after I've cut them out with an X-Acto knife, because you'll see here they're on trees. That's what they call them. They're called trees. They're not really like trees, but that's what they're called. After that, we take some construction paper and cut out a little rectangle / square to paste on the back of the window or door to give the illusion of the depth, or, you know, there's actually kind of a room within that window or door. Take some more of that glue, stick it on the side, and you do that for all the windows and doors around the perimeter of the building. Pretty simple. Also, since we're in this process of adding details, we're going to take 2 chimneys, place them on top of the station building, because obviously you kind of need a fireplace in older kind of 50s Victorian era. That's just how they're designed. Then we come to the one little slightly more difficult part, but honestly it's not that difficult. The station canopy. So the station canopy was built out of the same materials that I built the roof out of. So I gave about like 3/4 of an inch of lead room on each side of the building for the canopy to be placed kind of in the center. I then cut out some triangles at an angle to mount to the side, stick underneath the basic main flat piece, and then mounted it onto the building itself. After that dried, I took some more of that green, painted it up, and I added one little thing to make it really stand out. A little bit of trim. Now, this trim I found at the same model train store. Kind of cut them to length to apply to the whole thing, paint them green as well, glue them on, and what do you know? We have a station. And with that, that's how you build Wellsworth Station. I hope you guys enjoyed this and also learned a little bit of something. I know I certainly did. I know this is probably, again, the most roundabout way to make something like this, but it worked for me, so hopefully it'll work for you. I'll see you in the next video.